We're back. It's been a while since we've been in the office. We were down in Florida for spring break training, and now we're back in the office. We're back at Trilogy Office Talk, and we're back with one of our oldest and best employees, Ned Crotty, better known on the field, but maybe even for us more well known and beloved in the office.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
A lot of both.
Yeah.
A lot of both.
Thank you, guys. Good to be here. Thank you very much for having us. I'm not going to lie. I've seen all these go up. It's like, when are these guys going to call me? You give me that great intro. It's like I've been here and you haven't hit me up.
I've asked Ryan multiple times. He finally said yes.
That's on me.
He finally greenlit it. So yeah, you're good to go.
There we go. I just get thrown under the bus in the first minute here. My first office in a while, and started getting just shade thrown my way.
So you're in the city. We have since moved out to the suburbs. Your last. Where was the last Trilogy office that you attended? Was that 55 Wash?
55 Wash and Dumbo.
Got it.
I think what was the first one? J Street?
10J or 20J? It was 10. We were in 20J at one point. That was like 10? The first office. Then 10J.
Yeah. 10 sounds familiar. And then I was part of the transition over to 55 Wash.
Yeah. And I took a stroll down memory lane. My sister works for Amplify, which, if you recall, they are on the 8th floor at 55. Yep. They're still there. We are not. So I went to her office on Wednesday and tried to peek my head in 808 55 Washington, but no one was home. So it's good to see the old stuff. It brought me back to the memory of the clothing launch party.
Yeah.
That's right. Had we just signed with Under Armour?
Recently, we probably had.
Yeah. And then we had a bunch of designs from Nate Duvall.
Yep.
And then we had a fashion launch party with disposable cameras hanging down from the ceiling.
I think I've got some of those photos in a box over there. We'll try to get them. We'll have to digitize those and get them included on the episode.
And then I had an adult tricycle.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
You ride an adult tricycle to work.
And then I think you bailed on that when Mitch had his accident. Yeah, then you're like, I'm done.
Right?
I got no. Well, it was twofold. One, the brakes went out as I was barreling down
right
the Manhattan Bridge. The brakes went out. I was like, I'm gonna die, and I didn't know what to do because obviously, if one has an adult tricycle, they're not like super bike friendly because otherwise I'd have a bike. And I put my foot down on the ground and it almost ripped off. And I was like, well, that's not the move. And so I was like, oh man. And so there's a huge hairpin turn at the bottom of the bridge. And I was like, I'm just gonna take a digger here. And so as I went down, I just turned the trike into the wall and just basically had a huge collision.
That's right.
And then definitely got injured from it. And then came to the office, and one of our interns, I was telling this whole sob story, and then one of our interns was like, yeah, my bike got stolen last night.
It's like, okay, bikes are done.
Oh man, you just totally like, okay, now we'll feel sorry for you, I guess.
Way to take my thunder, man.
And then shortly thereafter, the tricycle got stolen in the Lower East Side. But I used to get a lot of comments.
Oh yeah, as you should have.
Around my tricycle.
Do you hit up the city bikes? You bike riding?
That's one
guy?
thing. I don't need that extra danger. The city's too crazy. I can ride a bike. I'm good at riding a bike, but you see people whipping up and down, especially with the electric ones. It's like there's just too much going on. I like walking, like getting my steps in. The city bike is not a mode of transportation that I choose to take. Stay away from those.
All right, safe and sound. I like it.
Trying to be.
Going back to the MLL days, I did not realize that your first year was with the Chicago Machine.
Traveling Roadshow.
We did not even realize that.
And you probably don't remember, we played you guys in Virginia Beach on a Sunday. And it might have been, because remember, all of our home games were at neutral sites. So they were testing out different places where we might move to. It might have been 200 degrees. It was terrible.
I was not. That was early season, right? Because I was still, I think, NLL. Because I remember hearing about that game, and for some reason, I wasn't at that game.
Well, so I didn't join because remember, I just finished college, so I don't know how long NLL went, but that was. I mean, I didn't start until June.
Right.
Okay, maybe I just had something going on that game or something. But
I'm
I
trying to remember where we played. Virginia Beach, obviously Roch. Yeah, I can't even remember the other sites we played. It's a long time ago. It's crazy. What was that? 16 years ago. Jeez. But yeah, so that was an interesting move. And then thank God we ended up moving to Roch and became the Rochester Rattlers again. And that's when the Rats kind of came back to life.
Yeah, the Rats was like the Rat Pack. I don't. Do you guys have a name for yourself?
Just the Rats. And there was that core group. I mentioned, I don't know if we were recording now. I got married in October, had a big group of the Rats there. We had a special group. And I think that was something, especially in the MLL, whenever you're only meeting once a week, to have a tight-knit group like that was really tight off the field and was communicating throughout the week. And we, a bunch of us were in the city, so we get together, socially and to train, Monday to Friday. It didn't necessarily always result in wins, but when you're traveling every weekend and you're excited to get to wherever you get to be a part of the group, I think really made the ML experience that much better.
And some of the highlights in that group, you, Jordan Wolf, right? Yeah,
so Wolfie, I left, took a little hiatus, went to the Lizards and came back. But the year I left, 14, I think Wolf got there. But myself, Wolf, Jordan McIntosh, John Galloway, Joel White, Jack Neer, John Rannigan, Dave Lawson was there. I almost feel bad going down this path. I'm going to forget people. But we had
was in the mix,
Michael Manley, Officer Manley.
He's still playing. That
still
like
going.
blows
and better than ever. It's like, how do you, that doesn't happen. But yeah, so Michael was with us. Like I said, with John LaCasio, we had a great group. Obviously, Tim Sudan, who did a great job of assembling that team. Sudo, as I'm sure, has been caught on by people through social media stuff. Big locker room guy. Obviously talent mattered, but he was really big. Is this guy going to be a good fit in the locker room? And there were certainly players who were brought in who didn't last long because we're like, yeah, this guy doesn't really jive with us. So that was his whole thing. Again, understanding, we're giving up weekends. And so making sure that we have a group that we're excited to be around was a big part of that equation. So he did a great job of assembling that team. We never really get the big one, though. I think the Rats, there was one time when I left to go to New York, we beat the Rats. I think they were in the championship game prior to that as well. Didn't get over the hump. And then we moved to Dallas, which was awesome. Being in Dallas was a lot of fun and a totally different experience. As much as we loved Roch, you could oftentimes hear the announcers in the booth. They're like, man, that was a terrible turnover by Crotty. It's like, dude, I can hear you. I hear you. But then we go down to Dallas and we played at the Star, and Dallas really welcomed us with open arms, and we would have great crowds. I think the year, so I started down this, we ended up playing in the championship game, which was in Atlanta. Lost that 1-2 to Denver. But I remember we had the semifinal game at the Star. I think we might have been New York, actually, that we played. I think it was like 8,000 people. The entire side of the Star and the side of the field where they set up like, luxury suites was all sold out. So that was a very cool experience. And then after that was the 2018 season. And then the PLL started in 19.
And you did a few years with the Chrome, correct? Was it just the Chrome?
Yes, 3 years with the Chrome. And then I think they existed for another year or two and then became the Outlaws.
And they try to carry over some of the Rats kind of core, but it was like a little kind of disjointed, I would say, like that first year in terms of the Chrome getting their kind of footing, just because it was like a half measure, but then obviously like different coaching staff and the whole core wasn't entirely attacked. It was like it felt like unequal footing that first year, if that's fair.
For when they became Denver?
No,
the Chrome.
The Chrome, yeah.
Yeah, so they moved, Nearsy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot. We were talking about the Rats. Matt Dunn, another one. Dunner, if you watch this, I'm very sorry I forgot you. Love you. But so Dunner,
I got to hang with him down in Florida actually 2 weeks ago. Great.
The best. So Dunner ended up going with the Whip Snakes because they had the Maryland crew. We lost Nearsy to the Redwoods, Jack Neer, because he's a Notre Dame guy. But I think a large part of that was, myself, Wolf, Mac, Rannigan, Joel, and John. Again, if there's anybody else I'm forgetting, I apologize. But that was kind of the core group that moved over. We had Donnie Moss, who came with us. I believe he came to the Chrome. Yeah, we lost Blaze too. Blaze went to the Chaos,
Right.
which was good for him. Definitely tough to lose him, but obviously you could see how well he's done as a starter, which I don't know if people fully appreciate that. As a backup, he was never complaining when he was with the Rats. He was all in on being John's backup and a big part of helping John get warmed up and helping John in certain situations. And then so it was great to see him take off and become the player he's become now in the PL and the NLL, which is incredible.
And how like involved you? So you retired? What, you played for 3 years and then you retired? Was that 2 years ago? Then
2021. So this will be my fifth year out.
Yeah. And what was there a moment where you're like, okay, I think this is it for me, or do you recall any?
Last year, so trying to think. Yeah, I think I just realized. So it was definitely easier when I was coaching at Duke. I had the weight room downstairs, the training room. So it was easier to get prepared and then recover. And I noticed, I could still play, still had my speed, but it was just harder to get ready. And then understanding after the 21 season, I was going to come back to New York and have my first corporate job, just the time and effort that would go into having to prepare. I just realized I think this is done. 12 years is a good run. Accomplished a lot, and that was kind of the main thought process. Yeah, it was just and then also my last year again. I think I could still play, but I didn't have a goal. Pseudo probably did me a solid by never giving me a healthy scratch, but I could still fly around. I had my assist, but I didn't have a goal, which was the first time ever in my career, which was frustrating. So that was almost a reason for coming back. It's like, all right, I can't go out that way. But like I said, I just saw the headwinds that would be ahead of me, in terms of trying to prepare and get ready, and then the recovery part of it, which that's the part I really started to notice. It was like, it wasn't just a day, it was 2 days, sometimes 3 days, just because, as you guys know, the torque you put on your body, there he is. Look at that angle.
My God.
Look at that angle just coming in mid-interview. Matt's here.
Why aren't you in the office? Shouldn't you be
They're
working?
doing construction, There. Otherwise, I would be there. I'm a big 5-day-a-week guy in the office.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna log off. You guys can get
Sure.
something, right?
There, you better change that angle.
This is not good. This is fine.
Now you go.
Yeah, I gave him the brief.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just.
Ned brokered the deal.
Oh,
Then brokered the deal.
Is this the office when you were coaching at Duke? Did you guys share this office?
No, I was in the back.
This is-
I was in the back. Matt and I, we were best friends, brothers-in-law, teammates, college. We had too many titles. Being office mates would have just put us over the edge.
Plus, you can't fit anybody else in here. This is the smallest office in the country.
Keep you humble,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just how you like it.
But did you guys live together too when you were coaching together? or
No, Matt and my sister, for those of you who don't know, Matt's married to my younger sister, Virginia. They were kind enough to house me for a month or two when I first got down there. And then I moved into my own spot in September or October, my first year down there coaching.
Yeah. Well, we had a 2-year-old at the time, 2 and a newborn. So
I was ready to go. I was
That's
ready to go.
that's not for everybody.
More? Who needed the space more, Matt, you or Ned?
Probably me.
Yeah, probably Ned. I'm gonna say Ned on that one.
I'm not saying I was super helpful with the children, but yeah, I think it was like, okay, time to go. Somebody's having to freak out. It's a dirty diaper over here. I gotta go.
Yeah, you weren't being part-time nanny or au pair. The situation wasn't happening.
So
No.
it's good to get a little separation.
Awesome. Well, we'll welcome you into the pod. You kind of jumped right in, which I love. But Matt Danowski, obviously one of the most successful lacrosse players and current assistant coach at Duke. Pumped to have you join us.
Well, thanks for having me, Ben. Pumped to be here.
Were you also like Ned pissed off at how long it took you to get on this podcast as an avid listener and watcher?
Well, I don't know what took me longer, that or downloading Google Meet and going through that process of getting that on my iPad. That took a good 7 to 10 minutes there. I almost threw the iPad out the window and just cashed out of the whole thing. So
I mean, whenever people do Microsoft Teams, I'm in that exact same boat. What do you guys use? You guys are just face to face, live action.
live action, yeah. I don't do a lot of this besides watch film. So film and movies on the road trips. That's about it.
Is that still a thing, movie on the road trips, or is everybody just in their own world? Or do you still have the tiny little screen on the bus with like, Remember the Titans?
Yeah, not much has changed on there. We have a couple that, we suggest the team to watch, as like a couple of our staple movies that they kind of carry on. But, we haven't taken too many bus trips this year. So, we got some coming up, but there's not a lot of opportunities to watch it now. It's a lot of flights.
Will you guys fly up to Long Island this weekend, or will you take a bus?
Yeah, we're going Friday afternoon
Okay.
up there. And then we're just working through the logistics of that today because we're at the mercy of JetBlue.
JetBlue.
Yeah, so JetBlue changed their flight times on us. So it's like, trying to maneuver and figure that out. So, but so we'll fly up there Friday. We like to go up pretty late in the day. We like to practice here. We don't really practice at whatever stadium we're playing at. So we kind of get our stuff done here, go up there, eat, go to bed, play the game, come home.
And is there a sense of excitement getting back to Long Island for you, or is it just another day in the office?
Yeah, well, we played Providence and Farmingdale, where I grew up and where I went to middle school. So that was really cool, going back there and doing that. And it's always good to go back to Long Island and play up there. And these neutral site games where you can play a really big time opponent, somewhere where lacrosse is really popular, whether it be the Mid-Atlantic or the Northeast. I'm sure the crowd will be great. So it'll be a great atmosphere for the guys, and that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to personally make my. Are you gonna come out?
I was just wondering who this big time opponent is.
National champs, man. National champs that they're not.
Get that.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional.
It wasn't
I
intentional.
just picked out.
Yeah, right.
This
Yeah,
represents the final four. There was 4 teams there.
Okay.
When you think about like obviously we were texting a little bit about this, like some Cornell-Duke matchups in our time. I feel like were, some legendary games, but maybe just looking at like the alumni networks in New York City, I feel like is where like this Long Island game should be really cool. Both people that came from Long Island and New York area, and then now people that have ended up there in finance and doing all sorts of different things. But any like highlights that you guys are looking? Ned, are you gonna? Oh, you said you have a wedding this weekend.
Unfortunately, I cannot make it, which is a killer. The Providence game on Long Island, I had to travel. My wife played at BC, so they had their alumni weekend, so we went up there for that. And then this time around, I have a wedding out of town, so unfortunately can't make this one either. But I will definitely be watching. But from the to your point about alumni, sounds like there's a couple party buses leaving from New York City heading out east for this game from both sides.
Because you're not going to be there to lead the tailgate, who do you expect to be like the MVP kind of Duke forerunners?
I'm sure there are some younger Thundercats who I could list off, but I know and I didn't play with this guy, but I think Brendan Fowler will be leading the charge, at least one of the tailgates. Him and Papa Fowler will definitely be leading some of the tailgates for the Duke side.
Okay. And do you know anybody you're looking forward to seeing, or people that have reached out saying they're going to be there?
Yeah, like Ned said, a lot of our younger alumni, are in the city still, and then we got some guys in the surrounding areas who have now had some families and kind of grown out, and spread their wings a little bit out of the city. So it's always good to see the alumni. It's hard to see them before the game, but you certainly hear them during the game. So it'll be good just to see anybody who's there for us and supporting the boys. So it's. I think the Cornell alumni does an unbelievable job, and not only networking but supporting, and which you guys do. For the Final Four last year, the national championship. So in a lot of ways, we try to emulate what they have going on. They have a really strong network that helps guys and places jobs and internships and stuff like that. So, and we've had Tony McDevitt alum. He worked for a Cornell guy right out, so we got a little inside track and kind of how they do things there. So it should be a good showing from both sides.
Yeah, they're as thick as thieves, and I think to their credit, I think they do it about as good as anybody does. But enough about them. So now that you've had enough time elapsed, Matt, what's one thing that you miss about having Ned in the mix as a worker, and what is one thing that you're like, thank God that he elected to move on?
Well, the thing about having Ned here was that we had the shared experience of being here, right? Like understanding what the kind of kids are feeling, understanding that, some people go, school's really hard. We got midterms coming up. And I'm like, nah, it's not that hard. Like, school's not that. They're not that tired. They don't have that much work to do. Let's not make excuses for them. So, that, and then the pride that, Ned certainly took and I took in being a Duke attackman and playing here and what what we coach and what we value. So, it was really easy for us to kind of talk through that and try to, continue that tradition of kind of what we had here. What I certainly don't miss his eating habits.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
From not being a healthy eater, which, and then just as loud as he is, like his sisters can attest to that for sure. So, it's, certainly, I think I've lost a little weight since Ned's been gone, which has been a good thing for me.
So his first year in Trilogy, I think it was his first job out of college. And we had like these wacky office hours, which I won't like get into, but a lot was based around playing, right? So we would play every weekend. And so we would have these Mondays and Fridays with kind of like that accounted for that. But every day, independently of those Mondays and Fridays, so, the rest of the week, Tuesday through Thursday, I swear to God, he came in with a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel every single day. And I was older than him, but like not that much older, where I was like, dude, I don't, like in my head, I'm like, I don't.
It's a lot of bacon.
That's a lot of bacon.
There's no reason that Ned shouldn't weigh 250 pounds at least. That's just a blessed genetic DNA makeup that nobody can emulate. So
like, why should I say something to him? Like, hey man, like I don't know if you keep doing the bacon and cheese thing every day. Like, we'll sprinkle it in, sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, throw a lettuce on there, maybe throw a green on the plate, But
having that be
wouldn't matter anyway.
Staple, yeah. Well, it worked though.
Yeah. Are you still doing the bacon, egg, and cheese every day? No,
I've gotten better with that. I mean, I don't know if people would say I have healthy eating habits, but I have healthier eating habits. I definitely don't eat like I used to. I can no longer, we joked before when I hopped on that I used to go get, a sausage and peppers and a slice of pizza for lunch. And you guys would be like, dude, how are you not going to pass out? It's not quite that anymore. I can't have like, a big hamburger or something at lunch and then go back to the office. So those days are done. I don't drink nearly as much Coke as I used to. Used to just drink that like it was water. And so eventually people were like, dude, that's not okay. You should not be drinking that much Coke. But I've changed some of my habits.
And so your first year at Duke was your senior year, Dino? Is that accurate? Did you guys first meet freshman?
Junior year.
Junior, okay. And that's the first time you guys ever met each other, right?
Yeah, except for his visit.
Yeah.
And what was it? I'd love to hear your first impression of a young Ned Crotty when he first came to school.
Well, so Ned was what, the third or fourth Crotty to go to Duke?
Third. Fourth.
Yeah, fourth. So I knew Ned's older brother Joe a little bit. He was more of a mythical figure than somebody like I actually knew. Kind of just heard of him a bunch. And then I didn't know Sarah as well. We kind of missed there, but Ned's older sister Martha I knew. So I remember meeting Ned not at Martha's house, but one of the house parties we had.
He was 11:05.
Yeah, it was. Again, I was in my Farmingdale era there. I probably had to fit it in a white tee and Tommy Hilfiger jeans on and some Air Maxes, looking like I don't belong at all. And I think Ned saw that. I was like, oh yeah, I can kind of get with that. I got fitted hats too. It's not all just pop collars here and pink polos. So we kind of hit it off right away at that house party. I remember that.
Yep.
I want to hear about, what you both probably matched up against him in the pros. I don't know, Matt, did he cover?
I covered Dino in the Final Four the following year, right? Was that the following
07.
year?
07. Yeah, so the following year.
Yeah, the following year.
We didn't play in 2005. I don't think.
Yes, you did. Not yet, but you played Cornell at Princeton.
I was not covering you.
Yeah, we played Cornell at Princeton.
Yes,
yes.
Stadium. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of good memories against.
Yeah, 2006 we played. 2007 we played the hottest lacrosse game on record. Right, it was like 110 degrees in M&T Bank Stadium. It was brutal.
Yeah. That was until like 2 or 3 years ago. That was the most well-attended game as well. Like that recently got broken, but that I just remember because it was the second game. Hopkins and Delaware had played before us, and like everyone left, so it was like a decent crowd. But by the second half, it was like the whole lower bowl was full, half the upper bowl. It was all, but Yeah, we walked out of that tunnel. It felt like you were opening an oven, just like.
And I remember they had the fans that like shot the mist out. Guys were getting IVs at halftime. That was I didn't even realize that record had been broken. I do think, based on what happened to us a year prior, and then us being in the Final Four, probably had something to do with the kind of the notoriety of the game. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but yeah, that was awesome. Obviously, a big back and forth game, and then obviously did you guys tie it up with like seconds left?
17 seconds. Brian Clayton. I'm like, no. He's like, yes.
Yeah. I remember those, we had those Brian uniforms on, and I had like the extra large tall. So they're like down past my knees, like just holding sweat, probably weighed 15 pounds at the end of the game, just like an absolute mess. But I think like those teams were pretty like mirror images of each other, right? Like, you had Mitch in the defensive end. We had McDevitt down there and Carroll. Like we could both play. We wanted to both play fast in transition. Like our faceoff guys were kind of just athletes. They weren't necessarily like technicians at the X. Johnny Glenn up there. And Jesus, wasn't for Casey.
Ball.
Yeah, wasn't for Casey Carroll taking Seabold out.
He didn't use his fingers, and that was it.
Yeah.
They lost it. But I mean, that was a scrap. I just thought like Mitch was such a solid athlete. His lateral movement was so good. He was obviously way stronger than I was at the time. Certainly not now, but back then, he was definitely stronger than me. So, that was always, I thought, a tough matchup. I don't think we matched up in the pros as much, but as we did in college. But it was those teams were just really kind of exactly like each other. Like I know for us, it was such a battle. It went, to the last second of the game, and Hopkins, they beat Delaware with like 7-3 or something, right? They just held on to the ball, no shot clock for the second half of the game. So they played like a half, and we played like 5 quarters. It felt like,
was jumping on every face-off against Alex Smith. Like every one was like, you just go, like,
just take it. So that's how that goes. In those Final Four weekends, like it's matchups, who's hot, who's healthy. So, but I thought that game was probably the game of the weekend for sure.
I remember being at the end of it being so like obviously devastated to lose, but being like, I don't know if I could have played another game in 2 days. So depleted after that, both emotionally and physically. That was, to your point, I think we were both like very like fundamental, gritty teams. Like there's not a whole lot of flash, as much of a flash in those days.
Well,
that was the pre-shot clock era, you know what I mean? So like sometimes you don't see the rock for like 6 minutes, and you're like, can't really go to the rack right now. We got to slow it down a second.
Or you make like a 5-6 minute stand on defense. And you're like, yes, at the end of that. Or like they score, and you're like, come on.
They would get the ball. Dina would sling it to Greer in the first like 10 seconds for a shot.
Yeah, Greer was pretty good.
But I think, I agree. Yes, overall, but I think that game was a lot more gritty because we didn't match up so well against each other. In terms of an outsider's perspective, it was 2 very even keeled evenly matched teams, and we probably had some flash, but I think that particular game
got to step in and just call out the irony of a Duke and Cornell being like, we're blue collar, and we're like trust me, I've fallen into that trap too.
Just saying.
That's all.
You got to have goals. You got to have goals. You try to be as blue collar as you possibly can be when your institution costs somewhere north of $75,000 a year. So you got to try to maintain the edge.
Well, and Seabold got absolutely demolished coming out of the box. That was probably right in the beginning, like towards the end of the first half, I think. Right? He was just not the same after that. He definitely had a concussion.
Casey Carroll out of the box. That's why, that became a coaching point for us moving forward. Away from the box.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you going to sing it or do you want me to sing it? Away from the box. Clear it away from the box.
Yeah.
Well, so let's fast forward. We heard about YouTube matchup. I remember distinctly when the 3 of us were working together, when we played against Rochester in Rochester, Ned, and you picked up the ball at the end line and you went out to pick him up. And I'm like, I need to black out. I don't want to see, like, I don't like,
workplace harassment.
Like, I obviously want to win this game, but I can just pass the ball to somebody else. Don't go one-on-one. I was like, Jesus Christ. Oh God, this could be an awkward day at the office on Monday. But
I don't know if there was a rule again, but I would always go pick up the ball and like start running from 5
Yes,
yards
those are moves.
outside the end line.
Yeah.
And
And
more often than not, the defender's big, hey, that's not allowed. I had a full head of steam.
Dino talked about my lateral movement. That was because I couldn't go forward and backwards.
Yeah.
I let Ned get a run on me or I was toast.
That was a signature. Ned, no one has picked up on that. Like
That was.
Well, I think, I don't know if it's been, what if they came up with rules to guard against that? But yeah, that was, it just kind of
Producer
made
Andrew
sense.
Goldberg is chiming
You
in.
changed the game.
You changed the game. That should be the next time on the broadcast that happens, Ned. I'll call it the karate rule.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Clear the ball before you go without the running start.
Yeah, my lateral stuff, it wasn't bad, but my linear speed was way better. So it's like, okay, I was trying to get as much of a running start as I possibly can and get above goal line and just shoot it aimlessly that way.
Yeah,
That was pretty much.
just throw it near the goal and hope for the
Yeah.
best.
Exactly. Oh, well, man, he got such great vision. Hit the corner. It's like, I had no idea where that was going.
I will say you were kind of a bit of a pioneer with that, the hook shot around or just coming up and turning and firing. And then I think Lyle came and did a little bit better. But you really
John
you really
Danowski
were
is
one of
going
the
to
first
be
to
pacing
really
the
see it.
hallways right now with frustration.
Yes. If we at Duke, when it went in, it was like, oh, great. And I was unfundamental bleep when it didn't go in.
Yeah, like let's put our foot in
Did
the
it
ground and turn the
5
corner a little
and 5,
bit. Can we
chin
turn
on
the
the
corner a little
shoulder?
bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got the kids who aren't as low, that don't have good hands trying to do it too. It's like, nah, it's not. That's not you. Put that one back in the bag, buddy.
But Mitch, I appreciate that because I kind of thought so too. I can't really, give myself that much credit, but I kind of thought that I, in some way, was more of a pioneer with that one.
I think you were. I remember you being one of the first to be like, wow, he can score running up the hash because the defender, especially in those days, it was like take away the top side. It's like, but if you're running away upfield, it's like, okay, that's where we want him to go, and then you just shoot it right over the guy's shoulder or past their ear. It's like
Use him as the screen.
That, but I think what he's referencing is the signature move of the running start.
Oh.
No. Even what Mitch was saying, just
You want
get the running start, but also actually, so Mitch, RB on the broadcast, 2 credits for him. Okay. 2 credits.
I think they're calling that the exclamation point,
Instead of the question mark,
not instead of.
the counter.
In addition
Right,
to,
it's the counter.
it's another
Yeah.
dodge, which is just like a straight line dodge. And
Right.
shot.
Yeah.
We have to put a label on everything, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like as a
Just
coach, put a label on every single.
Just call it the
Thing.
Ned. That would
did.
make
There
me
you
feel
go.
much better.
We did razor picks before you guys did, but Max Pinzani, they're really sharp angle. Razor pick. Okay, Max Pinzani invented a razor pick. Right?
Ron Computer's gonna have something to say about that. Ron
Yeah,
Computer
that's all. That's the Ron.
loved the
Caputo.
razor pick. Still loves a razor pick.
But
The issue is you got to have guys who can do it. You know what I mean? You got to have guys who are slick enough to stick it or slip it or actually get the edge off of it.
yeah,
So you can come up with it all you want, but you need the Jimmys and Joes to actually do something.
Or guys like Jordan Wolf, where it's just uncoverable. There was like five years where you just literally could not cover the guy.
The Rochester Rattlers love the razor pick for Jordan Wolf.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. And Ned, you're probably on that team. We played Rochester in front of 55 screaming fans, and he might have scored 6 goals in the first 3 minutes. And we're like, we're in trouble. We tried like every defensive combination. He just ran by me. He ran by Brody. He ran by whoever was covering.
change the matchup. There was nobody left.
No.
Did you take a yellow school bus to that game?
What's that?
When I was playing with the Bayhawks, we played Roch it was during the day, right? There was nobody there. It was at a high school, and we took a yellow school bus to the game.
Oh.
Then we took a yellow school bus to the airport. We got to the airport. People were like, "What is going on? Why are these grown men getting out of a yellow school bus?"
Oh, we're
Rochester
professional
Airport.
lacrosse players.
Yeah.
Professional lacrosse players.
Obviously, there's no AC. It was the middle of summer, so it was like 1,000 degrees on the yellow school bus. Like the windows only go down the crack, right? They don't go down all the way.
You got the first iteration of Rochester played at a high school, and they had a jam band play before the game. Were you guys old enough to have that experience?
I didn't have that one.
You would change in a locker room and then walk, and then on your walk from the locker room to the stadium, there'd be a jam band just going to town, and it was like, what are we doing
What's happening here?
Bringing the fans in, man. Getting the locals out.
when I started there, I think even the game that I played with Ohio Machine my rookie year when we were the traveling road show, and then where we ended up playing was Salem Stadium back when we got the locker rooms were trailers.
Which was a sick, it was a sick stadium other than the trailer locker room.
The trailer part.
The stadium was great other than it being empty.
Empty.
Empty. You can hear the announcer, the play-by-play guy on the field.
The same thing. We didn't even plan that, you know?
Yeah.
I remember when I was with New York, we went up and we played Rochester. I think it was at SUNY Brockport. And we walk out, it's early season, so it's freezing. And we walk out and there's nobody. Not like, oh, there's nobody. And Brian Splina, so the silver bleachers, Brian Splina was like, everybody decided to wear silver tonight, huh, fellas? Oh, man, I'll never forget it. And by the time the game started, there really were not that many more people than warm-ups.
So,
but, yeah, doing it for the love of the game.
Love it. Just paving a path forward for the next generation.
Exactly.
We were talking a lot about 2007 to 9 era lacrosse. What have you seen? You've been coaching collegiately pretty much since then, so almost 20 years here. Is there a marked difference in the talent in the way guys play and people utilizing the patented Ned Crotty exclamation point dodges?
Well, I think the kids, they're just a lot more skilled at a lot younger age, right? They're just, they're playing more. It doesn't mean they're smarter when it comes to the game and athletics in general, right? Whether they spend too much time playing wall ball or too much time playing club games that, not that they're, it's not unbelievably well coached in terms of, what you're doing offensively, right? It's just people playing a 2-man game and then racing down the sideline and figuring something out. So we find the kids are more skilled, like they're super athletic. They come in a little more beat up. I'll say that. Like there's a lot of lower backs, there's a lot of shoulders, a lot of hips that are just kind of like from either overshooting or overuse injuries or because they don't play multiple sports, right? So they're just doing the same thing over and over again. So I think there's a little bit more of that. So I do think at the younger lacrosse level, either taking the foot off the gas a little bit, when you can, playing other sports, but trying to just to be athletic, like have an athletic mindset. You taking that old, it's what everybody's been saying forever, right? You just feel like an old guy now, but it's like, if you play basketball, lacrosse offense is easy. Lacrosse defense is easy, right? Pressing is just like a 10-man ride, like zone concepts. They're all in there, but kids don't play hoops anymore. It's hard to find a multi-sport athlete. And a lot of it's not the kids doing. The high school coach wants the football kids to run track and then play 7-on-7, right? Yeah. The basketball guys, they want AAU, they want the club stuff. So it's like, it's hard for the kids to be able to do both, but you see that there's that lack of carryover they have from not being multi-sport athletes is definitely real.
Do you still get 1, 2, 3 of your like studs that are doing multiple sports throughout the year?
Yeah, I got out of our senior commits, almost all of them play 2 sports, right? And junior commits is probably the same thing. It's something that we look for in recruiting. Like we want to see that. We understand that's hard for some kids to do it, just either location based or depending on what high school you go to. Like if you recruit a kid from Texas, it's really hard for them to play football and lacrosse, right? Yeah. Football practices after high school. They got weightlifting in the morning and they got 7-on-7 leagues out there. So they got to play in and that kind of stuff. So, different parts of the country do it obviously differently. If you like down here, we play soccer in the spring, right? So if you're not big enough to be on the football team, North Carolina's got pretty serious football, then you don't play soccer in the fall. They play in the spring, so we can't do that. So it's regionally, it depends, but we try to find it as much as we possibly can. We put a value on it.
Well, kind of transition to multi-sport athletes. You may be the third most famous in the Danowski family, with your dad obviously being a legendary coach, and producer Andrew did a deep dive. Your grandfather, one of the OG quarterbacks for the New York Giants. Have you been able to like see game film of him playing or hear stories of that when you were really little, or did you overlap with him when he was alive? Is he still
alive?
Yeah.
No, so he's not with us anymore. But Danowski. Yeah, he was a quarterback for the Giants in the mid-30s, went off and served the country, came back and was a quarterback again from the late 30s to early 40s kind of deal. That's when they played in Yankee Stadium in Brooklyn. So, old school, take the train to the game kind of deal. Not so much MLL yellow school bus stuff, but still pretty, pretty blue collar, to circle back to that in terms of what the NFL was back then. There was no Super Bowls then. It was just championships. It was very early stages of that stuff. So, and then he went on to coach football at Fordham university and then was a teacher. So he was incredibly humble. He never really spoke about it. The Giants organization, though, took care of him to the end. He's still, with the health issues that, from playing leather helmets, they did a great job of taking care of him. So we're diehard Giant fans here for more reasons than one. But he's got some books that I was able to see. There's a couple grainy videos that you can kind of see. Football stuff, it's when you're the quarterback, you're the halfback, and the kicker too. So there's a lot of action going on there. Black and white, and all the jerseys look like they're dark jerseys. I don't know who the light team was, but it's hard to tell that game. He's probably most famous for what they call the sneaker game. They played Giants versus the Bears, and it was so cold in Chicago that they couldn't wear cleats on the field, so they had to put sneakers on. And that's when Bronco Nagurski was a great Chicago Bear. Won a bunch of championships, and the Giants actually won the sneaker game. So that's it's something that we kind of reference to when we talk about when my grandfather played for the Giants.
That's awesome.
But where I thought you were going, and to give Ned his flowers on the multi-sport thing, was former player of the year, New Jersey hockey. And to win.
We've been talking a lot about me, so it's good to have Matt in here,
This is actually a coded invite to play men's league with me tonight. So we need an extra skater. Cody Arena, be there.
What time?
9 p.m.
Well, also before we move on, one more thing for Matt's grandfather. Don't they have a picture of him outside the Giants locker room? A big, huge mural?
Yeah, in the Giants practice facility in Timex, outside the quarterback room. He's on the wall there, with all the Jeff Hostetler and Phil Simms and the boys. There's a picture of him up there. So
your grandfather became a coach. Your dad was a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Any pressure to was there ever another path for Matt Danowski?
I'm faking it as best I can. My sister's also, she coaches high school lacrosse and basketball as well, and she's a teacher on Long Island. So I tried the real world, for a little bit. Just it wasn't for me. I just wasn't passionate about it. I just kind of just floating. I did what I could to try to play indoor a little bit and still play outdoor, and try to make those Team USAs, and just finding work kind of around that, because I still want to be an athlete. And I always thought, if you're a coach, that means you're not an athlete anymore. You're kind of done. You'd crossed over into that just being a coach thing. So I just fought it for a while. But listen, I'm very lucky that that my dad is here to coach, and he's very understanding. And he wants all of our assistants who can still play to play. It's it wasn't pressure to go recruit at every event over the summer. It was still play lacrosse. That has value to it. You're still in the game. You're still learning. You're hearing from other people. You're in more situations that you can bring to us. So I was still able to play while coaching, and that made a huge difference in terms of kind of finding this career path.
So you're coming back you got one more year in you? Is that what you're telling us right now?
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to get the golf swing dialed in.
Yeah.
I hurt my back getting out of bed now. So it's I'm just making sure that my short game, 150 in, so I can compete with Ned and Mr. Crotty over the summer.
Child.
Well, Ned, you did a good job of deflecting the hockey thing. I do want to give you your flowers, and it syncs up. Hall of Fame. You get the call. Would love to know kind of what your initial reaction was in terms of finding out that you're finding getting into the Hall of Fame, National Hall of Fame, and then at what point did you know that you were going in the same class as Matt?
Actually, kind of a funny story with that. I was on my honeymoon in Bali, and so I get a text from JD, Coach Danowski, and he's like, "Hey man, I know you're on your honeymoon. Can you be available for a FaceTime?" It was 1:30 or 2 a.m. my time. I'm like,
no problem.
No problem.
Yeah,
I knew it was parents' weekend at Duke that weekend, and so, okay, he knows I'm here. It must be something important. So whatever you need, I got you. But whatever it was, Bali's 13 hours ahead or behind. I screwed it up, so I missed the FaceTime. But so I woke up at 4 or 5, FaceTime Coach Dino. They were all in the coach's locker room celebrating, which I didn't know what. And then JD told me, he was like, "You and Matt are going into the Hall of Fame together." It was awesome. It's I not to say unexpected. I don't know. I guess I had no idea what the news was going to be. And then I didn't retire that long ago. And so I don't know, it just wasn't something that was even on my mind. And so hearing that, obviously being able to, be honored with something like that, it's one of the highest honors in our sport. And then be able to go in with Matt, it was special. It was really special. It was definitely very cool. And, seeing, them getting the opportunity to go down there for the actual Hall of Fame. And I had been in the Hall of Fame at the U.S. Lacrosse facility, but definitely had a different vibe to it when I realized I'm going to be in here. And then they do the whole thing where they have like your picture on it, and they've got like a towel over it, and you go in, you take the towel off of your it's not your bust, but again your picture. It was unbelievable, and then to be there and like I keep saying, have it with Matt, and we had a really good crowd with us. It was awesome.
And just connected back to the Dumbo at the start. How about the curveball of Krista Samaras also going in? Were you like
totally full circle? I was like, so we, we saw each other, fell right into each other, like, oh my God, how about this? And kind of coming full circle. She gave a legendary speech, had an opportunity to see Rob Lindsay as well, because Rob was down there. And then you introduced Krista.
Yeah.
So obviously you weren't there, but I was like, oh man, this is all full circle from the time I graduated to now. Again, excuse me. Again, it's all there's a lot of different things. The award in and of itself was special, but a lot of other things that happened around it that made it even more special. So it was an awesome weekend.
And so for Dino, for you, it was 3 missed FaceTimes, and then I guess we'll tell him anyway.
I'm like, don't we have practice at some point in time here? Like, what are we doing? We're standing in a circle. My dad's on the phone. I'm like, what's like? Are we kicking off? Like, we got a scrimmage in a couple days, don't we? Like, what's going on? And then it all kind of, best laid plans. You know what I mean? So we just adapt and overcome as we do. And then all of a sudden, like the social media lady was there. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like,
so they did it right before a practice or a scrimmage?
It was right before practice,
and it was parents' weekend. So like all the parents were there. Cool. So I really screwed this one up. Really, I'm not gonna say what I almost said.
Yeah.
But so the parents are around, Matt's family's there, and JD's doing this whole thing, and they get on social media. He's like, "Oh, I think Ned's busy." It was probably a good thing I didn't pick up, because I like the second day of the honeymoon, I decided I wanted to have a mustache. It was probably a good thing I didn't pick up. It would have ruined the social media post. But it was definitely very cool. It's down there, the Duke Lacrosse social media, at least Matt getting it.
Yeah. Well, at one point you did rock a mustache for a Warrior ad, if memory serves me correctly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the magician.
So I think all bets are off. But to close the loop on the
magician
presenter thing, she asked me to be her presenter, and I was basically like, I can do the pre-recorded video, but my wife's due date, I was like, I can't be there in person for it just because we were too close to like where I just couldn't be like away. And so that was kind of like how that kind of played out. So yeah, but it was wild just in terms of the connective tissue in terms of lacrosse, just in terms of how things played out between the two of you, and then going back to like the Dumbo days.
Right.
Of Trilogy was just kind
another cool thing with Matt and I introduced each other, which is another cool layer to it, and actually presented each other with the award. So keep saying the same thing over and over again, but very special experience and special weekend.
Anything, do you know, from you that you remember about that weekend specifically, or the award ceremony?
Yeah, the timing wasn't of it wasn't great for me. I was like just the first week of practice, so I couldn't get to the event Friday night because we practiced in the afternoons. But drove my family up there Saturday. I got there probably 7 minutes before we were supposed to actually be at the event. So like I quick change, put the suit on, and went right back out the door. But just having my family there. Bridget and I, we have 3 kids, so having my son and my 2 daughters there was really cool. And then just be able to make it a family event. With both my family and Ned and Virginia's family was really cool. And I know my mother-in-law is thrilled that we went at the same time, so she doesn't have to do it twice. So that I'm sure they were really excited that get done in one shot. But it was just coming off the holidays too, so we all kind of just saw each other at Christmas, and so it was a cool kind of cap, and it was a great way to start the year. Especially for me going into the season. So it didn't give me any leverage with the team. They still don't listen to a word I say. So I was hoping I would get like a little more buy-in, but it didn't really work out that way.
Well, we're very well deserved for both of you. We appreciate your guys' time, and I'll be looking forward to watching you coach the boys up, and hopefully a hard-fought battle at 2 p.m. at LIU Bethpage Stadium this Saturday.
All right, man. I look forward to seeing you there.
Ned,
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate
enjoy
it.
the wedding. Enjoy the
Will
wedding.
do.
I'll be on Long Island, but not where you guys are playing. So I'll be.
Ned's 0 for 2 on the Long Island games. His
I know.
status is
Killing
Golden
me.
Boys dropping.
Yeah, I'll be down for Notre Dame though. Yeah, April 18th.
I'll make up for
Staying
it.
at your house.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. So we truly couldn't have. We could have just muted ourselves.
Yeah.
And just like an hour.
Next episode.
It probably would
Yeah.
Take over.
have been.
Guest host.
Yeah.
All right.
Ned,
Thanks, guys.
Ned, we'll sync up in the
Thanks,
city
guys.
soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, fellas.
All right,
Thank you.